The Horde remembers. For almost 17 years, Caleb Walker had never been more than a redneck kid from the edge of nowhere. Trailer rust, gravel roads, busted trucks, and a sky so wide it made you feel small just looking at it. He hunted squirrel with Daddy, rebuilt engines with his uncle, and played video games on a flickering TV that buzzed louder than the cicadas outside. He had never left his state. He had never seen the ocean. He had never believed in aliens. And he certainly never believed he had once conquered the world. The night they came for him, Caleb was on the hood of his truck behind his trailer, drinking warm soda and watching lightning flicker silently inside distant storm clouds. The frogs had gone quiet at first, then the crickets. Then the wind itself seemed to hesitate. The sky bent. That was the only way his brain could describe it. Light without flame peeled open the sky above him. A color that wasn't on any spectrum he knew. Gravity lost its grip like a drunk letting go of railing. Caleb reached for a shotgun inside the cab of his truck, but the world turned sideways and he fell upward. The last thing he heard was a soda can hitting the dirt. He woke in a room without edges. No corners, no seams, just endless curving metal that shimmered faintly like moonlight on oil. The air buzzed inside his skull rather than his ears. He tried to move. Something cold wrapped tighter around his wrist, his ankles, his chest, and his forehead. Not restraints, more like decisions made real. There was no pressure, no pain, just absolute impossibility. Shapes unfolded from the walls, tall, insect thin. Skin was dull like pearls stretched over impossible joint angles. Their heads were elongated backwards, skulls folding into ridges that pulsed faintly with light beneath translucent flesh. Their eyes were vast black oceans with no reflection, only depth. They did not speak. They arrived inside his mind. Subject exhibits primitive neural density. Adolescent male. Low technological culture. Genetic anomalies detected. Begin mnemonic probe. It was like a freezing sphere had slid through Caleb's forehead and into his thoughts. At first, it felt like pressure behind his eyes. Then heat. Then vertigo, so complete he forgot which way gravity was supposed to go. His memories opened like drawers being yanked from cabinets. Childhood, dirt bikes, gun oil, beer breath, fist fights, the taste of copper after breaking his lip in the 8th grade, his mom leaving, his dad crying once, alone in the truck when he thought Caleb was asleep. The aliens observed calmly. Neural resistance minimal. Expand backwards toward temporal scan. The probe pushed deeper, and then it hit something sealed. Not a memory, a gate. It felt ancient, heavy, bound in something harder than thought. The probe pressed again, and then the seal broke. The steppe wind roared into his skull. Not a metaphor. Wind howling so vast it made the inside of his head feel small. The smell of blood and horse sweat flooded his nose. The weight of armor pressed into his shoulders. The hunger of 10,000 warriors vibrated in his bones. Caleb screamed. The aliens recoiled as foreign neural mass detonated outward, flooding their telepathic channels with images not tagged to the current lifetime. A boy riding bareback across grasslands that never ended. A father executed by a rival clan. Cold nights wrapped in wolf furs. A bow carved from horn and sinew. A first kill. A first raid. A first village burning. The probe tried to shut down. It was too late. The Horde remembered. Genghis Khan rose inside Caleb's brain. Not as a voice, not as a ghost, but as a full architectural blueprint of conquest burned into neural fire. Tactics, psychology, cruelty as a language, mercy as a weapon, fear as artillery. Caleb convulsed against the restraints. The aliens staggered. Their telepathy linked them together like nerves, and now his memories poured into them. They felt the weight of a curved saber in their own limbs. They tasted the sand and the blood. They felt the triumph of cities collapsing without walls ever being touched. Terminate the scan. Psychic overload. He is not primitive. Caleb's eyes snapped open. They were no longer his eyes. They were the eyes of war. The restraints shattered, not from force, but from intent. Caleb fell from the table and landed on his feet like a trained predator. The ship's gravity flickered. Red emergency lighting washed across living metal corridors that pulsed like veins. The aliens retreated as one, but it was too late. Caleb picked up the nearest one by its elongated skull and slammed it into the wall. Its body folded wrong and burst with a sound of wet glass. The others attacked, not with claws or weapons, but with direct mind force. They hit him with visions designed to break cognition. Stars collapsing, dimensions folding, species harvested into extinction. Caleb walked forward through it. Genghis Khan had once faced walls higher than mountains and armies that numbered beyond counting. To him, they were just new horses to break. He seized one alien by the spine, twisted and felt it unravel neurologically, its telepathic screams frying the others through the shared psychic channel. The entire ship convulsed. Alarms screamed in frequencies meant for brains, not ears. Caleb ripped open a wall panel with his bare hands and found the first thing he needed, a gravity spear. The moment his fingers touched it, ancient muscle memory rewrote modern physics into weapon doctrine. He spun it once and hurled it down the corridor. It punched through 3 aliens and embedded in the far wall like judgment. The rest ran. Caleb hunted. He learned the ship's geometry through instinct. He anticipated ambushes before they formed. He read their fear currents inside the psychic background like a spore on fresh snow. They tried isolating him in a null field. He learned to hold his own thoughts so tightly the field couldn't peel them apart. They tried flooding his body with paralysis chemicals. His nervous system rewrote itself faster than the toxins could work. They tried tearing his memories free. They only gave him more. He broke into their command chamber, a cathedral of light and floating consoles orbiting a central organic star that pulsed with data and life force. Their leaders waited. Tallest, oldest, minds heavy with civilizations they had just consumed. You are an echo of meat, they transmitted. Your former life ended in dust. You cannot reclaim it. Caleb smiled. It wasn't a human smile. I already did. He raised both hands and tore their shared consciousnesses apart. Their telepathic network collapsed like cut nerves. Panic became private instead of communal. Isolation hit them harder than any weapon. Caleb moved through them with stripped efficiency. No rage, no mercy, only a rhythmic. When it was done, the command chamber looked like a slaughterhouse carved from alien bone and glowing circuitry. Caleb stood alone among the bodies, breathing steadily. The ship shuddered as deeper systems failed, and then he felt something else awaken. Not a memory, a purpose. He found the navigation core without difficulty. Star maps blossomed around him, spiral arms, trade routes, harvested worlds marked cold and gray. Thousands of species cataloged like hunting trophies. He learned where they were. A harvest civilization they didn't conquer for land. They conquered for neurodiversity. They devoured civilizations not for territory, but for intellectual DNA of a species, absorbing thought patterns, survival instincts, culture, problem solving into their own shared mind. They had been doing this for millions of years. Earth was scheduled. Caleb altered the course, not towards Earth, towards the nearest alien core world. He then locked the command system, with a cognitive signature keyed to his reincarnated mind. None of them could stop it now. The ship went dark. Emergency power kicked in. Caleb walked the corridor alone as the stars outside the hall streaked into lines. He laughed, not loudly, not madly, with the calm amusement of a ruler who just realized he still is owed the throne. When the ship dropped out of hyperspace above the alien capital world, it did so inside a traffic shell dense with living starships. The aliens detected the corruption immediately. They tried to quarantine the ship. Caleb overloaded the gravity core. The ship became a planet cracker, moving at realistic speeds. The impact shattered half the planetary hemisphere. The sky itself broke. Cities made of glass and organic towers and living circuitry vaporized into expanding fire rings. The shockwave tore oceans into airborne walls and folded tectonic plates like paper. Caleb rode the dead nation in an escape pod, burning, laughing. The pod punched through the atmosphere and buried itself in the black alien soil. When he climbed out, the world was on fire. The survivors looked at him and felt something they had never cataloged before: existential terror. They could not read his mind now. He had closed the gates. What followed was not battle, it was a demonstration. Caleb dismantled their civilization in weeks. He taught enslaved client species how to fight their master. He broke their psychic relay moons. He spread fear faster than light through the hijacked broadcast arrays. Stories of a human war entity reincarnated from ancient conquests rippled outward. Systems went dark preemptively. Fleets scattered. The harvesters had become the prey. Months later, high above a scorched alien world, Caleb stood on a cliff carved from melted alien architecture. Stars burned brightly again. Quiet returned to the psychic background of space. He felt the horde restless inside him, always ready, always hungry. But now he was also Caleb Walker, 17. From a dirt road no one remembered, he thought of his dad, the frogs, the soda can, Earth. He could go back. He could rule instead. Conquer the stars the way he'd once conquered the winds. The horde urged forward. The boy hesitated. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, conquest was not inevitable. Caleb closed his eyes and made a choice neither vision of himself had ever made before. He turned away from the throne of galaxies and went home.